All right, everybody, welcome in to tonight's King's Pit Pass podcast. Our main topic tonight is going to be pit strategy. We're going to cover everything to do with pit strategy. We are also going to cover the race from Top Tier this evening at Bristol, which coincidentally was the King's Pit Pass Bristol 150, so that's kind of cool. Wish it went a little bit better. My co-host this evening is, of course, George Ledesma Jr. Just got done broadcasting the race. Nice job there. It's
thankfully everything went well.
Endurance event tonight. You didn't know you were calling an endurance event, right?
No, I did not. It was definitely
Surprise.
I was actually keeping track of the time as well. Because I'm like sitting there, because I know Iowa went to time, and I'm like, is this one gonna go to time too? So I was like, kind of looking, kind of keeping an eye on it, and we were pretty close. We were pretty close on time.
Close. Had a good green flag run in near the end.
Yep, thankfully.
But you're up in the booth. You talk to basically everybody. You obviously see everything. What's your take on the race tonight?
Caution fest, obviously. You had people trying to push. I understand, it's Bristol. It's hard to pass there. People were trying to push and they'd get loose and stuff and they'd spin out. There were some great saves by some people, as I saw. You were one of them. You had a great save at one point in the race. I know Dylan Canova had one, Latham Joyner. Kenny had a good save as well. Drafty had a save. So multiple people had some good saves, but other people weren't so lucky. They got tagged from the back because people, obviously you get right up on somebody as you get loose. And then also some people just not cutting, other people some slack. There's a lot of pinching, a lot of pinching up into the wall, not wanting to get past. And a little bit of trying to do the bump and run, not so well. That was a little bit of an issue at one point in the race. But yeah, I can tell you that a lot of people weren't too thrilled on how many cautions there were. A lot of people thought that we had kind of cleaned it up, but fortunately that wasn't the case tonight. I can't remember how many cautions there were. I didn't take a look at that, but I know there was definitely over 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I think it was after the Dover race. The Dover race went really well as far as like the amount of cautions, right?
Yep.
But I told Drafty, Kenny, because I talked to them as friends. Drafty's obviously a part of the team. And I was like, I'm not sold on it yet. Cutting the car count, I'm not sold. I'm gonna hold out, and we're gonna see. Last week, Daytona was Daytona, right?
Yeah.
Like it could have been cleaner. I mean, I've been in Daytona races that have two cautions. One is on lap 2, and the other one is on second to last lap to cause a green, white checkered, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that could have been better. I came in tonight thinking, this one's going to be a little rough. I think, but you kind of wish for the best.
Yeah.
And, as far as my side and the team point of view, like I started, top 10, I think 10th. And was up there with Drafty, flirting with the top 5 there near the end of stage 2.
Yep.
I was involved in the first wreck. That automatically put me in the back early, and it's like, hey, that's all right. If I'm going to be in a wreck, I'd rather be early. I got plenty of time to work my way up again. I did that twice, and then oddly enough, man, I don't know. I can't say it's no reason because something was different, but like 195, which you interviewed me on the broadcast about it, and all of a sudden 195, the truck was so loose where it was so comfortable before, and I knew like if I went to the bottom, because I was running basically the top the whole time, is just where I was comfortable and felt quicker, and I knew like if I go to the bottom, it's going to be even more loose than what it feels like on the top.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't old tires. I had new tires. It wasn't fuel because I had gotten fuel. And I'm like, oh, this is strange. And then that just led to the first issue. which fortunately I avoided most contact, or I should say most people avoided me. And then right after that, another issue just randomly got some damage, got that fixed, and then came out and I don't know who it was, the 51, something like that. I came around a corner and my truck was already like broken, 5 minutes of optional, right? And so I didn't have the steering ability to steer low enough mid corner to like completely miss him. And it just took out my whole right side. And it sucked because I was still at that point with all the issues, I was still in position to finish top 10.
Yeah.
And battle it out for a couple more spots, which honestly I would have been really happy with. But then after that last impact, I was like, oh man, here we go. And didn't have anything left. I think 14th is what I finished.
Yeah.
Shane finished 13th. Drafty had a rough night.
Yeah, he retired.
We're just having a rough season as a team, man. It's not going the way it was last year.
No.
I think the personalities, we covered it last week, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but the personalities is definitely impacting some of the fun level. I think there's more to analyze than the product that's on track going around the track, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I rather race with someone who races a little bit aggressive but is super nice and helpful, and or I don't know. We're not going to get into it, but yeah, there's definitely more to it there. All right, but anyway, let's get into.
But before you, I got something to say though. That
all right,
he is on the team, but he's not in the team in top tier. Andy Buser, he had a great run. He finished 8th.
Oh yeah, Andy.
I mean, he's not on the team in top tier. He is a part of Royalty Motorsports.
He is on the team.
Unfortunately, he joined the top tier late and stuff. But he is part of top tier or part of Royalty. But he did have a great finish. Obviously, he shouted us out in his post race interview because I wanted to interview him because he had a great run. For it being his second race in the 5. And he ran up front. He was running in the top 5 at one point.
For sure.
But yeah, I definitely want to shout him out because he is part of Royalty and he did get a top 10. So, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't count towards the team championship. But hey, man, he's still part of the team and still did well. So got to give him a little bit of love.
Yeah, and that's my bad. I see the team list and he missed a few races in between, like the first one and now this one. And so just my mind obviously goes to like, okay, who's getting points, who's eligible for points for the team. Obviously he was in the team Discord tonight. We were chatting. He was having a good run. Mm-hmm. Another one of those situations where it was back and forth, up to the front.
Yeah.
Nearly got some stage points at one point. Then in the back because of an issue with someone, and then worked his way back up front. At one point he was in a good spot. I remember telling him, yeah, you're 4 laps ahead of me and I'm the next guy in line. And I was like, so you're in good shape to not lose any other positions, even if you do happen to drop another lap or something like that. Like,
yeah,
you're basically on easy street at that point. You're racing to gain positions, but not necessarily racing to lose them.
This kind of sums it up. Jeremy, who finished 10th, was 6 laps down. That sums up the race right there.
Yeah.
That sums it up. Jeremy's 6 laps down and he finished in 10th. I mean, how often are you going to be 6 laps down in any race and get a top 10?
Yeah, and he kept fighting too, man. He overcame some issues, and good top 10 for Jeremy. That's cool to see.
Yeah.
He and I have been racing a lot. Like every time I look back at the races or think back, I'm like, yep, Jeremy and I were next to each other again for 10, 15, 20 laps. And we had some points of crossing tonight, but I mean, it mixed up so much, with all the cautions and different pit strategy, which we're about to talk about, that everyone at some point was like, okay, well, everyone's just on different strategy now, right?
Yeah, somebody said that in one of the interviews. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were saying the same thing, that you got people on so many different strategies.
Yeah.
Everybody's on different tires and everything, and
Yep.
and I know people are tired from this race. I guess Jake is still exhaling an exhaustion from it.
Yeah, Jake Raven.
Yep.
Where did he finish tonight?
7th.
Okay. Another solid finish for him, man. He always manages to put that truck up at the top of the field. So
Yep. And Jeremy,
good job, Jake.
Yep. Jeremy said he's sorry about blowing up. And then Marty says that obviously he had bit issues, but he's blaming me in a sense because I'm not racing. That's why there's so many issues on track. Because I'm not running.
Jeremy, no need to apologize, man. You were frustrated, but I never thought you crossed the line of disrespectful. There's a lot of other things that can be analyzed here. If that's the type of thing that's considered disrespectful, I don't know what the other people are saying that what that's called, but I digress. All right, so into pit strategy.
Yep.
Of course, George, pit strategy comes into play in any oval race for sure. In some form, I mean, unless it's short track racing, of course, right? But we're talking NASCAR, trucks, Xfinity, next gen cars mainly. But then it can come into play on in other types of racing as well. The Indy side, F1 side, who knows? But
they do.
So first, I guess I want to say to anyone out there watching, we want to get your input on these questions and your opinions on them. After each question, we'll have George kind of take a look and see what people are saying, and we'll kind of analyze that and go from there. So stage racing pit strategy, George, in my opinion, I'm a big fan of stage racing with cautions, simply because not only does it reward you for the performance, but then it tightens up the field again, which I think is really beneficial if you have, even a rough start on the initial start and you drop 3 or 4 spots, or you want to have a 30 lap, 40 lap run, see how your tires are that first stage, right? And on the entertainment side of things, right? I feel like stage racing with the cautions definitely makes it more exciting from a viewer standpoint, instead of after one pit cycle, now the field's all spread out. But anyway, back to the pit strategy. Do you have a go-to pit strategy when you're racing in a race with yellow flag stage racing?
So let me ask you this: is it when I'm actually running up front, or I'm in one of the back markers just trying to hang on? Because it changes. So like if we would have had stages in, say, like top tier season 1, when before the update to the Xfinity cars, and I was actually running decent, knowing where I was in points and everything, I would probably pit when I need to, just so I could, still keep my momentum, still keep running up there in the front and everything like that. Now, if it's like as if I'm running, after the update, post update, I'm going to stay out as long as I can. I'm going to stay out there, hopefully catch a caution, trap some guys a lap down, and that's going to push me up a few more spots. And maybe I can get some spots, for the stage, for the stage points and stuff. Knowing that it's going to come out there, I'm going to stay out there. Maybe they'll get stuck a lap down, Maybe you're going to have people stay out. Yeah, maybe they can get the wave around. Maybe if I'm ahead of them, they pass me, I learned something, and I can continue on, It gives me a little bit better of a shot. But, if I'm actually running well, I'm going to pit whenever I need to, and forego some of those stage points to be there at the end and try to compete for a top 10, top 5 finish.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's so many variables, right? Like we can sit here for 5 hours and talk about like, okay, well, what about this situation? What if you're here, then you're here? Ultimately, though, like where I sit with it, very similar to you. If I start the race in fifth, let's say, and I maintain around that, now in top tier, I mean, this season it's top 5 for stage points, no yellows. So for this point, we're going to throw out top tier. But um, if I maintain a position where I'd still get stage points, I'm going to ride it to the end of the stage, right? Typically. Now, obviously, it depends on what kind of, if it's 100 laps to the stage, then there's going to be a pit within that.
Yeah.
And that kind of determines your strategy. But a lot of times the first stage is shorter and you have enough fuel and tires to get to that stage. Now, in that same exact scenario, if I start fifth and now all of a sudden I drop to 12th, now I'm more likely to say, okay, I'm going to flip the stage here. I'm going to pit early, set myself up for success on stage 2, because everyone else is going to come in at the end of stage 1, and then try to have that better run in stage 2, which if that goes all the way green, then of course, in theory, you're setting yourself up better for the finish as well, right? Yeah, just so many variables, but I think that is a really cool added layer is the stage racing, because you have all of those different strategies, as opposed to, okay, we're racing 300 laps, we have X amount of tires, no stages, so right away you're like, all right, well, how do I get a leg up?
Yeah.
And if everyone, assuming the race stays mostly green, if everyone stays on a very similar strategy, it really does come down to what you do on the track, not what you do on pit road, right? Yeah. Assuming you prevent a penalty on pit road and all that. But what are some of the people saying about stage racing? Anybody commenting how they handle it?
So you got Marty saying yes to stage yellows. Jeremy's like, no, not with short races. It takes away from tire strategy. Jake
on short races, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Jake is like, I love pitch strategy. Am I good at it? No. From a racer's perspective, it keeps things interesting, but from a spectator's perspective, caution stages are probably more appealing unless everyone is on the same skill level.
Yeah, I agree.
And before pit stretch or anything else, we need to focus on not pushing for the win on lap 1. That's from Marty right now.
Yeah.
He's saying before pit strategy, we just need to focus on not pushing for the win on lap 1. So, I mean, that's fair. But, I mean, I do get it, from a perspective, it's definitely more appealing, obviously, like in the Cup Series and stuff like that. Bunches everybody back up and, gets everybody all together, whether it be, somebody gets a little loose and slides down the track, loses all their momentum, whatever the case may be. It definitely keeps things interesting from a racer's perspective. Am I good at pitch strategy? Hell no. I just kind of I try to see what works, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get caught out with a bad yellow. Where somebody's coming on right before the stage ends, you're expecting it to be lap 40 and it comes out at lap 30 and you're like, well, wasn't really planning on this, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, just this season, in whatever league, I don't know, they all mix together. It's hurt several of us, right? I think it was Monday, our SSR league, where like the three of us, we're similar in position, but we weren't doing poorly. So we decided to go with this strategy that basically at one point would have flipped us to the front of the field.
Yep.
If it worked out. And as soon as we pit and go a lap down, caution. I'm like, come on, man.
Yep. We were running, I think, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Not too bad of a day. And like you said, if we would have pitted and everything would have cycled through, we would have definitely been up in the front. But Like we said, as soon as we're all on pit road, get off and get going. It was caution. And you're just like,
Yeah.
well, that didn't work out the way we wanted.
No, no. Sometimes it does, and that's the crazy thing about pit strategy is uh it could work out or it could not. Now, follow-up question, next question. With no stage racing, do you go into a race regardless of where you start, having an idea of what you want to do pit strategy wise, if everything kind of plays out the way you think it will?
Yes, I kind of do have a strategy more or less. Um, for me, and especially if it's a league that I know that goes green a lot, kind of like how SSR in a way would go green until pit stops happen, and then there's usually caution. I'm gonna try to extend that pit window as much as possible and catch that
Yeah.
caution and not be caught on pit road or a lap down or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Knowing that, that's what I try to do because usually that's kind of how it worked on the Mondays. Is if you pushed it far enough, there's usually going to be a caution after the pit cycles because somebody on cool tires is going to come out and run into somebody on old tires. That's kind of how it normally works. So that's how it's like, okay, if we got 50 laps of fuel, everybody's pitting around lap 40. I'm still going to go to my 50 and try to catch it. And typically it worked out. So sometimes it doesn't, but that's typically where I try to be.
Yeah. And I mean, it's worked out way more often than not for you in SSR this season, right? You've had plenty of times where, yep, you stayed out, gained a few extra positions. By that time, it obviously hadn't fully cycled. So especially at the smaller track, the majority of the field is a lap down.
Mm-hmm.
And then caution. And now you get to pit under yellow and, kind of flip the script on them. You've had a lot of good runs there. I'm the same way. I mean, this, of course. But I'm definitely like, there's some fast guys in that league. And when we've had the opportunity to have a clean race in top tier, I kind of felt the same. Going back to last year, I would say, like, you're thinking, okay, we got Jake Raven, Jacob Wilson, Kenny Kucko is up there, like Brady. Okay, I'm going to try to push this a little bit more and then see if we can get lucky. Now, top tier last year, didn't work out typically. We ended up staying out so long that they were out way sooner than when we pitted, and we gave up so much time before we're like, okay, pit, that it didn't work out in our favor. But it can definitely go both ways. I think the only thing that would make me change that specific strategy of like, okay, no stages, or not no stages, but no stage cautions, without having like kind of a set deal, switching that would be if I'm starting up front.
Yeah.
Or if I'm running up front, I should say, lap 40, 50, I'm first, second, third. All right, now I'm going to emulate what the other leaders do, or if I'm leading, then I'll kind of choose when I want to go in. I dictate that. I don't worry so much about staying out later at that point, which obviously doesn't make as much sense to do when you're leading. Because once again, everyone, once they come out with new tires, that whole time while you're still out there running, they're making up all that time.
Yep. And that definitely did us in season 1 of top tier.
Yeah. And that's ways that same strategy can kind of hurt you in a way. But let's hear from the audience. What's people saying their go-to pit strategy is when there's no caution stages? Or stage cautions, rather.
Jake was like, all he said was, early pit is so risky, he hates it. I don't know who this person is. Topless Racing. Only downfall of the stage is first half is no strategy. No stage I look to cut pit stops, save tire and fuel. I don't know who exactly that person is. I don't know who Topless Racing is. I obviously appreciate it. And then you had Dylan Oh, he's just saying the winning the lap one strategy, or just send it full throttle and pray, and then you don't hit anybody else because you roasted your spinning. Peyton's like, run as long as possible on fuel and tires. Marty's like, I just follow my crew chief, whatever this crew chief says. And Topless,
Yeah.
oh, okay, is Rob Higgs. Oh, okay. What's up, Rob? Appreciate you tuning in, man.
Right on, man. Yeah, welcome in.
So basically, everybody's saying run as long as possible on fuel and tires, and kind of we do that in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
With
like,
no stages is what Peyton's saying. With no stages, do that. Run as long as possible.
yes. And
Yeah.
I think also like in a lead position, right? Obviously, let's say top 5 or whatever. Like I say, I may be more inclined to follow the other leaders.
Yeah.
Just to stay closer with them. Obviously, again, so many factors.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm 5th and first place is 15 seconds in front of me, assuming it's a large track, right? Bristol, that'd be basically a lap.
Yeah.
But if it's real spread out, it's like, okay, yeah, I might stay out another 2 laps, maybe make up a little time while they're in the pits, and then come down as they're getting up to speed. But if I'm the leader, like that could definitely be that could be something where it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna wait till I see or till I hear everyone else coming down. Obviously, that's beneficial if you're like in a league that requires you to shout out your pit.
Yeah.
Or obviously, if you have a spotter, you can kind of know, like, okay, yeah, everyone behind me is going now. I'm gonna stay out that sweet spot, maybe 3-4 laps, not give up too much time, but still like, keep them a lap down maybe, and hopefully it cycles all the way around.
Yeah.
Now that's someone that would know about being in front a lot more recently than I have, but that's what we'll leave it at there.
I was about to say, I don't know what that's feelings like, leading a race, at least in iRacing.
You will, man. You will. Like, I mean, it's just a matter of like improving and then
Oh, yeah.
playing that pit strategy right
Oh,
one
yeah.
night. Staying consistent. Obviously, some luck gets involved. You got to stay out of other people's trouble. Obviously, that depends on the track too.
I know. I used to. I raced in real life. I know what all goes into winning a race and stuff. I know it's you got to definitely have some luck there and everything. And I've been leading before, and less than half a track later, I did not get the victory because of somebody else's stuff.
Ouch. Yep, been there.
So,
yep. Let's see. So we've talked like initial pitch strategy, right? What is your thought like right when you go into the race, whether it be stage racing or non-stage racing? Explain to us a little bit about how, and those that may be watching that aren't like racing in real life or on iRacing, explain to us how pit strategy can change over the course of a race. We've kind of mentioned a couple tidbits about it, but could give on how it might change as the race goes on.
As the race goes on, obviously the way cautions fall, how many cautions there are, green flag. Also just the way the track is, sometimes, we've seen it in real life where the track, Goodyear doesn't bring a good tire, to the track. It changes it dramatically from what everybody's prepping for the weekend, They go into it, see, it's like, okay, well, these tires aren't holding up, so we got to change all the strategy. And then also you got rain. Obviously in iRacing, we're not going to have that,
on oval.
Yeah, no, yeah. But, in real life, you got rain, the threat of rain. Okay, are we going to get past halfway? Okay, we are. Is it going to be heavy enough to cancel the race? That's another big factor. And that's honestly some of the most exciting races. I love watching those because to see the crew chiefs just sitting there like, okay, is it going to rain? Is it this, that, and all the strategy that goes involved? It's actually pretty, very entertaining for me when you have that threat of rain coming in.
Sure.
So, but I mean, you got all those different factors. Like I said, cautions coming out, not cautions coming out. You know, the way the track's just running itself. That's
Hmm.
another thing. Just kind of like how the night went. Or somebody I think it was Dylan in the chat earlier said about a lap 150, 160. The track changed for you guys. Obviously, you had your issues.
Yeah,
He said that
100%.
he said it changed. He said the track changed. The bottom became unrunnable. It became very loose, and that plays a factor in a strategy of, you know, do I extend this and have a little bit shorter of a run at the end to have fresher tires?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, one example that I think about is again, can't remember what league, what race, but it was like my practice, every single practice was tire save, tire save, tire save. As you know, I've been working really hard to get better at that.
yeah,
And so then I got in the race and we start going and I realized, oh man, okay, I haven't had the opportunity. It was close enough, the pack racing, I mean, to where I didn't really have the opportunity to run the line that was ideal for my tire saving. Um, and yet I was still trying to compete. So like lap 40, I realized, uh-oh, like I did not save tires like I had practiced, and had to jump in there quick and change tires and be like, okay, well now I took a set of tires way earlier than I wanted to, or way earlier than I thought. Now I have one less set to make it even further. So then run 2 is like, oh, please let this spread out and let me be able to run the line I at least practiced, which that was my fault. I mean, I should have practiced other lines, and we've learned and moved on from that.
yeah.
But that was one thing for me that was like, okay, total curveball. Thought I had this lined up and it made sense to me, and then all of a sudden, nope, that wasn't how this race is going to play out. And that'll change it. Obviously, cautions, uh, for sure. That can either happen right before you pit, right after you pit. That
Yep.
definitely changes. If it happens right after you pit, now you're like, okay, well, now this run needs to go long enough to let me maybe get my lap back, with other pit stops, but then not too long to where I drop it again, type of situation. That's kind of a rough feeling to be in unless you're like, okay, I'm the first car a lap down. We'll catch another caution here, and then we'll get the lucky dog and we'll be good to go. Like, that's still an okay feeling, but yeah, a lot of craziness that can happen with pit strategy.
Or you can be like
overall.
yep. Or you can be like Jake over here. He actually used up a set of tires on a lap 2 when he had to come in for his fast repair. I mean, that kind of throws off your old strategy using an
Oh my gosh,
an accident. So I guess he had to go to 100 laps on his next 2 sets and 50 on the last one. I guess he never dropped below 90, but then again, you hardly had any green flag laps to really wear out your tires.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really see how you're surprised, Jake, on how you wear them out. So, I mean, you guys would go maybe, 2 laps and then caution. Another 3 laps, caution. Another 2 laps again. Yeah, it's not really a surprise that you didn't really wear them out because you guys couldn't really get going to wear them out.
Yeah, and that's what I'll touch on that. That's what was so weird, like I mentioned about like my truck just all of a sudden like not feeling anywhere close to what it was. It's like, okay, no damage, so that's not the problem. I just took tires 10 laps ago, and because like we were getting to the point, it was like, all right, well, lap 200 and I've only taken 1 set of tires. It's like, okay, well, why not? I still have 2 sets for later. If we have some green flag runs, I'll be good, And the way people were dropping lap down, I was like, I'm cool. I could put myself in position here, kind of like what Andy was in, where I wasn't fighting to not lose positions. I would be able to fight to gain. And then it was just Spin City. I just couldn't figure it out. I don't know. Weird.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens, man. I mean, I've had it where I don't spin, but it's just I slow down to where it's like, okay, I can't drive this how I used to earlier in the race.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know really what changed, you know. I've made a pit stop. That's about it. Should be good to go, but it's not. So, all right, well.
Yeah.
Just riding around trying to figure this out. But Jake just did actually say to us how many cautions there were. There was 24 cautions. I knew it was 20 plus. I knew it.
Yeah.
I admit for the short time I was racing around Josh, he's very clean and respectful. Oh, there you go. You got a shout out from Marty. That you're very
yes,
clean
thank you, Marty.
You're very clean and respectful. And he is, you know, he is. And that's the thing is that, you know, us royalty guys are pretty clean drivers. We try to be, you know, we try to hold ourselves to a high standard of racing clean and racing everybody clean, no matter who it is. And, you know, obviously mistakes are going to happen. I know, Marty, you're going to bring it up at some point. Like I said, mistakes happen. But, you know, for the most part, you know, I know Josh is a very clean racer. I try to mimic that as well, try to be very clean as well. So.
Well, and I appreciate that. Here's the thing, like, as you know, being a part of the team, it is an expectation. It is a team rule that if you make a mistake, if you wreck somebody, apologize, right? Like, because we've all been there, we've been wrecked, and nobody says anything. And it's like, hey, you know what? We're not mad that you wrecked me or that you made a mistake. It's frustrating when no one comes over the mic and says, dude, I'm sorry. So
yeah,
just be an adult and apologize. You know, hey, I am so sorry, dude. Like, I had that second spin, and I don't know if on one of them nobody hit me. I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one. But on one of them nobody hit me. But when I told Derek, race control, when I said that one's on me, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, and I didn't even hit anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like I felt bad that all of a sudden, you know, I spun. And then the other one, I think it was Aaron. Is it Aaron Brown? Is that right? The name?
Yeah.
Aaron Brown. I think it was him. He was on my inside. I was on the outside.
Yeah, it was.
I had damage. He was like halfway up on me, and I was like going into the wall. So I like kept it out of the wall, got loose, and then when it jerked back, I went down into him, which because of where he was at, position wise on my truck, it spun both of us. And obviously, like, I apologized for that, took the blame for that one, you know, so that sucked. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Mistakes happen, but
yeah,
there's right ways and wrong ways to go about it. I thought there were a couple moments that were encouraging over voice chat that were like, okay, this is coachable. This is someone that's trying to coach somebody else and help them get better. Unfortunately, there were just as many, if not more, that were still like, are we joking, dude? Are we kidding right now? This is how you talk to people, and you know, it's unfortunate. Whatever. But side topic. Now, and we'll get back to kind of the end of the closing of the pitch strategy, if you will. I mentioned before we went on air that I wasn't ready to give in and say I'm sold on the car count changes, and the penalty changes for top tier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Dover, yes, it was low cautions. I wasn't completely sold on the fact that it was better racing, but it was lower cautions.
Yeah.
Um, then Daytona, kind of iffy. And so now we have tonight, right? So now what happens? What do they change now? Because now it's shown, it's proven that the clean racing wasn't necessarily devoted to the less trucks on track. And the penalty system, there was like a small change that I think is awesome, and kind of created some of those better moments in the race tonight. But like, in your opinion, like what happens next? Do they do something, or do they let it run the rest of the season and do nothing?
um, Man, okay, you're putting me on a tough spot as the broadcaster in this league. If I was just a racer, I would
Just
definitely.
an opinion.
I know.
We're not coaching the admins or saying they need to do anything or not do anything. I just want to know what you think.
Do you really want the what I think?
Yeah, I asked you.
Okay. What I think they need to do is need to put an iRating cap on this. They need to make it where it is a lot closer in talent level.
Okay.
You know,
So a minimum and maximum.
Pretty much is what they need to do. You know, and it's nothing against anybody that's, you know, fast or anything like that has a high iRating and stuff. They need to figure out what they want. If they want it to be a high iRating league or a low iRating league. Take your pick. You know?
Sure.
You know, I mean, take your pick on one or the other, you know, and you know, I understand, you know, that, you know, the thing is that you got guys that do this multiple nights a week. They race, you know, they do a lot of officials, they do a lot of practices, they do a lot of leagues, you know, they do a lot of the bigger stuff, you know, than some other people. And sometimes this is the only time that these guys run, you know, it's the only read. I understand where you're coming from, Pay, but the thing is, man, is like I mean, yeah, I guess iRating means, you know, nothing about racecraft in a sense and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't know really what else to do. I mean, you know, you leave it open and stuff, you know, and you got guys all up and down the charts on iRating. Obviously, I see everybody's iRating with the SDK program that I have. You know, I see everybody's iRating. I see everybody's safety rating. Maybe that's something that they can look at, is maybe a safety rating. You know, I don't know, you know. I just know something needs to be done. The safety rating, again, everybody's all up and down the board on that. Everybody's all up and down the board on iRating. I mean, honestly, at this point, I really don't know. I mean, look at season 1. Yeah, we had, what was it, like 15 to 18, 15-ish cars on track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hardly any cautions. No cautions. Everybody gave each other room stuff. But yeah, granted, we have more trucks. You know, more trucks now. Obviously, they started at the 36, now dropped down to the 28. You know, so I know, and that's the thing. I know, Jeremy, I get you, you know, and yes, Kenny, I get you too. You know, I know you guys are both, your iRatings are lower than what they is, you know. I know, Kenny, yours is only 1,300. And I know you don't race like that. You race more in the 4,000, you know, spot than anything. You know, because you're right there with Peyton and Latham and all that. You're 3,000, 4,000 iRating easily. I know. It's just one of those things, like, you know, I honestly don't know, because, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, top tier ran great. You know, we brought in people, and there's people that are from season 1 that, you know, were dominating. Peyton Howe, Latham Joyner and stuff. You know, they both ran season 1. You know, there's no issues. You know, Brady Floyd, you know, another one, Adrian Fernandez, Kenny, you know, obviously all those guys were much quicker than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I guess this is something that I can look at is, we've started off the season, we're what, 5 races in. 2 of them have been short tracks, and they've been shit shows. I'll be honest, it's been a shit show. I'm not going to hold back on that. It's been a shit show. It's been obviously caution filled the whole time. That's 2 short tracks. You had Atlanta. Okay, there were some issues there. People were really aggressive and stuff, especially on restarts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have gotten removed from the league. You know,
Yeah.
Dover obviously was a really good race. That was a mile track. You know, and Daytona was Daytona. You know, I'll be honest, I really didn't pay attention to a whole heck of a lot of it because of the issues. Everybody knows that. I apologize on it. But the thing is that you look at it, 2 of the 5 have been short tracks. Atlanta, we had aggressive drivers, we cut them out. Dover had a good race. Daytona was Daytona. We'll see what happens next week at a road course. We don't know what's going to happen at road courses. Obviously, there's going to be localized yellows.
Mm-hmm.
Again, who knows how it's going to be? I'm really curious as to see when we get back to the mile and a half tracks on how the racing's going to be. It was good on the mile track. Let's see. We got rid, we dropped down, you know, there's so many freaking variables. That's the thing, it's so many freaking variables. Like, I really don't know what it could be or what they could really do right now. I think at this point, you just got to kind of ride it out. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I know it tripled in size, and I know you really weren't expecting or ready for it, but the thing is I don't really think that's an issue per se. It's just that we've been to 2 short tracks, 34 trucks on one track, 28 tonight. You know, I don't know.
Who's saying that? Kenny?
Kenny,
welcome in. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday. Shout out to Kenny Coco.
Let's go. Oh, it's his birthday. It is birthday, right?
It's his birthday, dude. Happy birthday,
happy birthday, Kenny. Because I know he posted
go.
on the thing that they had to sing happy birthday. So I was like, I didn't know if it was his or not. But Kenny, happy birthday, buddy.
Yep.
So yes,
I'm gonna go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can say your point. I'm gonna read all the comments.
So I don't know who was saying them, but you briefly mentioned like iRating. Kenny's is way lower. That's the hard part, right? Because I've said it so many times that a driver with a lower iRating doesn't mean that they can't compete or that they don't have the racecraft as someone with a higher iRating, but it doesn't necessarily mean they do. But then at the same time, some of these guys that have a high iRating, I guarantee you they don't race that way in officials if they have a 3.5 SR and a 4,000, 5,000 iRating. There's also ways to manipulate those. There's a lot of people that don't run a ton of officials. Me, for example, I can't remember the last time I ran an oval official because I've been racing the majority of this year 3 nights a week in leagues. So my iRating has kind of been dormant. I'd like to say that, or I'd like to think rather that I've improved over the year, but yeah, it's a really challenging thing, man. And I will say this. I know they weren't expecting the increase in people, and that's fine. I get it. It happened rapidly in a very short off season. I don't think it's the number of people on the track or in the league. I think it's the type of person on the track and in the league. I've said it before. I said it at the beginning. There's more to analyze than just the number of cautions of what makes a healthy and a strong league, in my opinion. Now, we're 5 races in. Everyone knows, right? And I'm not like complaining about it because what's done is done. Everyone knows that there was a lot of mixed emotions when they changed the car count from 36 to 28 and when they changed the locked in qualifiers from 20 to 15. That, in my opinion, as I expressed in a professional way, was that it shouldn't have been changed mid-season for one, and it shouldn't have been changed after 2 races. that to me was drastic of like, okay, we're not seeing how any of this plays out to determine what might actually be the fix. And so it's kind of one of those things where like I don't think they should do anything now necessarily just because like, okay, we had another bad race, let's panic and change it to 20 and 10 qualify now, like
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to fix it.
No. They should just let it ride the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, we're not admins. I don't know. Like, that's why I ask, because it's just a conversation. I don't have any advice for them. I don't have any ideas for them. They're doing the absolute best that they can, and they work hard to get it right. And I'm confident that they will.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like, okay, well, now it's proven that the 28 cars on track was not the thing that fixed the issue in the first place, right? We've seen that go both ways now, clean and not clean.
But again, like I said, it's short track versus a mile track.
Yeah,
that's the kicker.
100%. That's a big thing. If we go back to a bigger track and there's 15 cautions, now it's like, all right, now we really see, because just like, to be fair to them, just like I wasn't sold on the cut down of car count fixing the problem, I'm not sold that it didn't fix the problem based off tonight, right? But we saw on a short track it didn't. That is now proven.
Yeah.
Because there's been one race with 36 trucks, 34, whatever it was, the first race. And then one race with 28, similar results. There were issues tonight throughout the whole field. Not just with one person or one area of the field. It was all over. So
a couple people were saying lack of awareness across the board, which I'll agree. I will say this is that there were some incidents and people did not slow up, and it could have caused a lot less carnage, could have caused a lot less even wrecks in a sense. Patience, another one is the same thing. Awareness and patience, go a long way. Of course there's times where you're gonna spin in front of somebody. It's gonna happen, nobody where to go. But there's other times where I saw a couple incidents where it's like, dude, you had like half a track to figure out there's an incident ahead. Why are you still going full blast?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a couple of those incidents and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think
there's people that kind of be a little bit more patient, cut some people some slack, because like I said, they did get in the back of other people, so that is definitely another thing. And race control is blaming the 17, just causing a lot of wrecks left and right. So
hello Derek. Yes, thank you
from race control right there for you.
Yeah, all right, perfect. I will say this, over the last week there was a lot of ideas submitted all regarding like a lower and an upper series, right? Yeah. And I think that was a really, really cool idea. An old league where I met Drafty, Shane, Kenny, all these guys, had that type of structure. I don't think it ever fully got ironed out like it should have. And I'm not saying like, oh, do this, they should do this tomorrow, and then the bottom of the field is just cut to the other race or whatever. But I think that could work. And then you base everyone based off racecraft and respect. Those two things. If a person in the lower series shows racecraft and respect on track and over comms to everybody, then they're looked at by the admins, and it's determined, after a season or whatever. Yeah, I'd say a season. Like, okay, hey, we want to move you up. anyone in the upper series, obviously the lower series still has the option to be just straight kicked out if you're just awful. And I don't mean awful performance. I mean awful racecraft and no improvement and disrespect. The people in the upper series have the same thing. You finish your series, but max of penalties or what have you, and you're demoted. Then from there, you carry those penalties over, the points, whatever. If it continues, if you continue to be disrespectful, if you continue to have the same kind of issues in the lower series, then you're gone from there. I think you have to base it purely off racecraft and respect. I've raced against some people that were not the quickest, but super nice guys, super nice people, I should say. And, just didn't have the skill, but they never harmed anybody. They never wrecked. They were out there to learn. They were an absolute sponge. They just loved showing up. And then I've raced people that can and will compete for the win every single race that are just an absolute toxic, disrespectful douchebag that makes it not fun to race with them anywhere on track. And I think that needs to be considered. If people felt like they were going to be encouraged to get better and practice and, hey, check it out, dude, you're having a rough night. I see it. I get it. We've been there. Jump in to Royalty Motorsports Discord and we can help you out if you want. At least try to figure out how to, maybe be a little cleaner. As opposed to the type of stuff that iRacing, unfortunately, in my opinion, in the last year and a half to 2 years has gotten really bad with and not controlled. That's my thought, but I don't know. Fun to discuss the different ideas or options just because we're not the ones making the decisions. And I don't envy those that are making the decisions, but happy birthday, Kenny. Appreciate you hanging out, dude.
Oh, you see the comments too?
I do not.
Oh, you don't see it? Oh, he's just like, how dare you call me that, Josh?
Oh, shit. He's one of the nicest dudes, one of the most helpful. There's been times at midnight, my time, I'm mountain time. There's been times where I just couldn't get it right on track. And I'm sitting here lap after lap after lap, YouTube video after YouTube video. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Message Kenny, bro, I can't get below this. What am I doing wrong? This, that, and the other. The tire saving, I mean, that's a big one. He's probably over it because I've asked him so many times in the past about tire saving. He says it to me in terms that make sense to him, right? And I had to tell him finally. I was like, bro, you got to dumb it down for me because I'm learning the racing terms, right? So to tell me to do this and do that, I'm like, bro, I've been in it. This is very early times, 2-3 months in. I'm like, I don't know these racing terms. Can you tell it to me in a way that I'll understand it
English,
right now?
English.
Yeah. And then explain to me what the racing term means so I don't look like an idiot next time. But anyway, onward, we'll carry on. Overall, simple yes or no question for you. Do you like when a race comes down to pit strategy? Either on the track for yourself or in real life?
Yes, because it makes things very interesting because you're going to have people on the different strategies and you're going to see which ones work. You know, sometimes maybe the guy that stayed out ends up getting it. Maybe the guy that took two tires instead of the 4, or maybe the guy that just took 4, you're like, he ain't going to make his way back up.
For sure.
Ends up getting it done. I mean, it's
Yeah.
You know, it's always one of those things where, yeah, it makes things interesting, makes the race where it's like, okay, kind of figure who's going to win it. It's like, nope, never mind. Now it's going to be a toss up. So, yeah, I do like.
Yeah. I like it too. It allows for like more of a wild card feeling in that sense. You know, sometimes those guys that play in the fuel strategy like just perfect,
Yep.
but missed by a lap, and now all of a sudden you got the guy that's in 10th that you know, comes up, finishes top 3, or potentially even wins the thing. I think it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I like it, especially in oval. You know, as an iRacer, nothing is more boring to me than like a 200 lap race with no stages, 10 cars, so there's no cautions. And as I mentioned very early on in the episode, like your first pit, and all of a sudden everyone's spread out, and that's basically it, the whole rest of the race.
Yep.
It's like, all right, well, now I need a self spin / wreck to bring out a caution that's on the track, just to bunch everyone up, you know? And it's like, all right. But yeah, anyway, quick shout out to our sponsors, Majestic Promotional and Branded Apparel. They do our merch site. There's a merch site link floating around somewhere. I don't know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It's out there.
Yep.
But yeah, awesome hats, shirts, hoodies. Every week, every couple weeks, people are like, dude, I got my hat, got my sweatshirt. It's cool. Drafty's about to receive his, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, Majestic. Sunroof, Suncoast Roofing Supply. Appreciate them coming on board. That might be a short-lived thing, but they're on board right now. We're going to roll with them till the end of the quarter. We appreciate them for being with us. SM Racing Products. Go to smracingproducts.com. Use promo code royalty on your purchase that's over $150, and you will save 20%, which is legit. That's a good amount.
Yep.
And they have all sorts of different products. They got the little caution flag lights that hang on your monitor. Button boxes, which I have one. The dashboard is legit. That's next in my setup, the dashboard.
I'm just trying to get a legit setup.
Yeah, you're going to get there. But yeah, SM Racing Products, check that out. You'd be helping out Royalty Motorsports and helping out yourself.
Yep.
And Press Gas Haul Ass designs done by your very own Drafty Beef. Awesome paints, which we're going to talk about some here in a second.
Yep.
But yeah, appreciate all of that. And then, of course, our own broadcasting network, Royalty Racing Network.
Yep. Thankfully, we had a good broadcast, so I'm very happy about that. Everything ran smoothly.
We're getting on the right track. That was good to see. That made me happy while I was wrecking the car. But let's go into our King's Pit Pass Royal Flush segment. Once again, just like the first time, low participation made it to where we had to change this from a true Royal Flush of the top 5 down to a top 3. Unfortunately, I was hoping for like 35 people to post paint for Halloween. For those of you that don't know, tonight's race at Bristol was the King's Pit Pass Bristol 150, and it was Halloween week. So fun little theme night that they'll do here in Top Tier sometimes. So that was cool.
And it was kind of like a Halloween theme. It was a nightmare, according to a lot of drivers that I interviewed.
Oh, with the rim shot, George over there.
Hey, that was a driver saying it, not me. They were the ones in the interviews were like, yeah, it's kind of like fits the theme. It's kind of a nightmare.
Okay, all right. All right. So Drafty unfortunately could not be with us tonight, but he did submit his top 3 paints. Let's
it's his third.
Let's go over there.
Okay. What's his third?
And what's his third? Oh, sorry.
I'm about to say you have it up. I'm not changing my screen.
Yeah, let me help you. I'm just sitting here like okay, what did he do here? All right, so Coming in third for Shane is not to be cocky for himself, but his own paint. The 60 on Shane King's truck. Bright green, the black.
Gremlins.
Gremlins on the side, on the hood. Really cool paint for that one. Again, that is a press gas haul ass design. The second one we have here is the 88 of Rob Higgs. A lot going on there. What is that? A witch on one side or on both sides? They got pumpkins.
Oh yeah,
going there. Multiple colors. Kind of reminds me of like what am I thinking? Like Face Off, in Mortal Kombat type of thing on the hood there, where it's like different colors on both sides.
Yeah, well, what he was going for, and this is actually my favorite one, is kind of like two witches' covens. So witches are in covens. They practice, witchcraft, Wicca, and stuff together, and sometimes they have different beliefs in it. But it's two covens going at each other, essentially kind of battling out, which oddly enough doesn't really happen in real life. Everybody's more of a peaceful religion. Wicca is. He has that pentacle on the back. It's very more of a peaceful religion. You're not going to really, they're not going to overlap, but they're not going to do battle with each other. But that's what he was going with. And I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the pentacle on the back. So that's my favorite. Jafty's second favorite. So that's one we both agreed on. And, the detail that went into it on both sides, every which way on the truck was just amazing. And the way the numbers shine in the night was awesome.
Yeah.
I just wish it would stayed clean, but unfortunately he got caught up in some stuff. That's pretty much every day he did tonight. But definitely was my favorite, so.
Yep. Okay, cool. Did you got your other two?
Yeah, but we got Drafty's number one, but I'm just saying
that's right. I'm sorry.
I'm like, that's just my favorite too, so I'm just already throwing it out there so we don't have to bring it back up, which will sure my second and third. Sure. All right, and what's his favorite?
Been a long night. His favorite, JD Van Kirk with the Nightmare Before Christmas. I love it. Sewed together like the what's her name now? The character, I can't remember.
Sally.
That's Sally, thank you. She's on my truck as well. But yeah, I thought that was such a cool idea, theme. I love the bright colors. You guys know I love bright colors on the paints by now. Kind of a theme there. But yeah, that was Drafty's number one pick. Even the numbers had the sewed together type look. Yeah. Which is awesome.
Which that was my number two.
Okay. All right. So you Drafty shared.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. So I liked how the one side was Sally, the other side was Jack. You had Oogie on the back. Unfortunately, that voice actor did pass away this year, so that was kind of a little bit of a bummer.
Oh, R.I.P.
But no, that was definitely the one. So I mean, obviously, Jakey said, the Drafty, said, or not Drafty. Sorry, Derek posting stuff. But no, you said the Nightmare Before Christmas. Was it this Nightmare Before Christmas, or was it Josh's Nightmare Before Christmas that you said that was the one to win? But yeah, you gotta comment on there. Yeah, the Nightmare Before Christmas. Truck? Yeah.
I thought he meant the Nightmare Before Christmas to win the race. But
no, to win the best paint. This one or yours. I don't know. There's two different ones, so
no question. Vince McMahon music hits. No chance. No chance in hell. All right. Yep.
So that's his favorite. That's my second. All right, let's go with yours.
All right. So coming in at number 3 for me, we got the bright orange 69 truck of Marty White. Yep. I like this one for a couple reasons. Number one, what a shock. It's a bright color and I like it. Second thing, I love the font on the text on the sides, the back. It gives that like Halloween vibe. My favorite thing though about this is the pattern that runs along the bottom all the way along.
Yeah.
And it fits so well. Like that tree on the right behind the front wheel comes up perfectly, and then the castle comes up, right in front of the right wheel, the rear wheel. It just fits really well. It's got a lot going on, but really cool Halloween theme, and I think his colors that he went with were nice for it too. So that's my number 3 pick.
And I think that was done by Rob Higgs, from what it seems like. He's saying you're welcome,
Rob
Marty.
Higgs. Yes. Rob Higgs.
So
good job, Rob. Nice job on that one.
All right.
My number 2 is the 24 truck of Rob Higgs. Look at that. And this one is Hocus Pocus on the front, and on the side, I think actually, all Hocus Pocus. My bad.
Yeah.
I was thinking of another one that was like different themes on different. But yeah, I really like this one. I think the blue is a really cool choice. Kind of gave it like that night feel.
Yep.
And then it kind of seemed like everyone had a similar like thought process when it came to like, okay, I'm going to put a character on the right in front of the rear wheel on the door, on both sides, and so on and so forth. But yeah, cool color, cool numbers. I like the text as well on the sides. And then he even took the time. One of my favorite parts about this one is he took the time to edit the banner for the H&W Electrical.
Yep.
Instead of just leave it the basic green. It has a black cat up there in the top right corner, our left, I guess, if you're looking at it straight on, and then the text matches. So I thought that was a cool little detail.
Heck yeah.
Fit in there perfectly.
And we know he didn't race. We know he didn't race, Marty, but this was done before the race happened. I had to get all these pictures sized up and up in here, so. But yes.
Hey, yeah, how are we supposed to know he's going to race?
Yeah, plus Rob is killing it. He has 3 of them in here.
Dude, yeah. And I don't care what people say. We've been called biased before, so let the people talk, right? This is my favorite one, and it's mine. The 17, done by Press Gas Haul Ass Drafty Beef. And yes, this was a biased pick. And if anyone has something to say about it, let's hear it. I think this was brilliantly done by Drafty. On the back, it has the famous, curl up over the moon with the Pumpkin King up there singing his non-existent heart out.
Yep.
The pumpkin's all lit up, and then of course his face highlights on the front there. Pumpkin King, if you get it, you get it. And then once again, similar theme to a lot of other trucks. We got Sally and the Pumpkin King and the whatever his ghost name is. The Boogeyman.
Oogie?
Boogie, the Boogeyman. On the back, quarter panel. So yeah, very good. And then shout out to one of our sponsors, SM Racing. But really cool numbers. Similar deal to what Marty's has at the bottom with the graveyard running along the back of the truck behind the characters. And yeah, that's my favorite one.
Okay. And to go back to the 24 one, that black cat is actually from the movie. That's Binks. That little cat, that black cat.
Yeah.
So that was what's up on that corner. So that's a very nice touch right there, Rob.
Yep. Very cool.
And then got a couple comments. Got one saying that they couldn't really see this paint too well on track because it's spinning around too much.
Which one?
Yours.
Oh, is that right? Who said that?
Who do you think?
Marty?
No. Race control.
Oh, Derek.
Yeah. He's like, I couldn't see the paint because it was spinning around too much.
Yeah.
Twice. But then, all right. So that's yours. So my first one was obviously Rob Higgs. Second was, oh God, who was second? What was it? JD's. There you go. And then my third favorite is actually going to be Kenny's. The Michael Myers theme. I like the way the 11 is with the knives. That was just a very nice touch. Drafty did. I've talked to Kenny about it in the broadcast and stuff and what the idea was. He just let Drafty run wild with it, and he's like, it was his idea to put the knives as the numbers, which I'm like worked out perfectly because I think is, you know, honestly one of the coolest trucks out there as well. You know, unfortunately, it was running up front, you know, and then obviously it's his birthday, so family had to sing happy birthday and had to fall out of it. But you know,
I would have quit too.
Yeah, no, I understood.
I wouldn't even been there, to be honest. I was surprised that I know he's like head admin or whatever you want to say, but on your birthday, I would have analyzed. I would have been like, well, I'm in the top 15. It's Bristol for 300 laps.
Yeah, but he needed to get points to stay in the top 12. You also got to think about playoffs, man. You got to think about playoffs. Yeah. That's another.
Some of us are thinking about playoffs. Some of us are trying to survive.
Trying to get into the top 15.
Qualifying and then figure it out from there. But
that was my third favorite. I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed seeing it on track. And like I said, I really thought the numbers were the nice touch with the knives. I thought that was very nice and very good for, you know, pay good homage to Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. I like that one too. It was a close race. Had to pick my own on top.
That's fair.
Right on, guys. Well, you know what? It has been a long night for all of us.
Yes, it has. I still have to eat dinner.
Well, except Marty. He wrecked out early, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So he got some time to chill. We love you, buddy.
Had to, dude. He's always taking shots at us. We had to give him one back.
Exactly.
But you love his truck, obviously, all in good fun.
Yeah.
No hard feelings toward Marty over there.
Oh, heck no.
But
appreciate
yeah, we
him
appreciate
watching
everyone.
all these. Appreciate him watching him all the podcasts and everything. So
we appreciate everyone watching them, hanging out, commenting, interacting. I think overall it was a rough one, but you know, we move on. We get ready for next week. But everyone, thank you once again. We hope you enjoyed it. We try to keep bringing the content, making it fresh, some different ideas. We're back on the horse now after Jorge was sick a couple weeks ago, and I had some things going on, but yeah, so hopefully next week we'll get maybe Derek back in here or Drafty or someone new.
Who knows?
I don't know. We could get someone new. We haven't had our sponsor night yet. We'll see maybe soon there. Yep. But anyway, all right, guys. Hope everyone has a good night. Go drink a beer or something. Chill out after the race. That's what I'm going to do. And we will see you guys later.
Definitely. And yes, Marty, I read your joke. What did the red blood cell say to the sad blood cell? Don't worry. Be positive. All right, guys. Everybody,
thanks for on last week's episode.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in.